Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody. It's June 13th. I'm Ryan Miller, and okay, everything goes. Maim and murder each other. I don't care, but keep it clean. Matt Amber.
That's not where I thought you were going to go, but it makes sense because I like wrestling.
I've got another one.
Okay, what's the other one?
You want it?
Yeah.
Is that legal? Can I get a ruling on that?
Judges say we're fine.
All right. I'm Ryan Miller, and the cold's no place for a stiff. Matt Amber.
Also not the one I thought you were going to go
Really?
with. Although this might be more, because it's more obscure for me, so it's what I go to, but I thought
It wouldn't be the first time I missed the obvious quote from
Oh,
the
no,
movie.
this isn't obvious at all.
Oh.
I think that's why. But it's the, I thought you would change it to, call me the Matkey Denable, enemy of the people.
I don't. Was that from this movie?
Yeah, you don't remember Off with His Head, the story of the
You're
Marquis
right.
de
The
Nable.
Marquis. Okay, yeah, you're right.
The Marquis de Nable.
No, I don't. I reject that one.
That's fair. The judges didn't like it either.
Here on Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week, we talk about it. You can join in, send us whatever you got, podcast at bookclubformovies.com. This week, it's Stay Tuned. The Stay Tuned. Yes, the one you're thinking of, or not, because there's like 30 things that are called Stay Tuned now. You remember the game show? I forgot about that until I went searching.
There was a show called Stay Tuned.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I feel like
You'd remember it if you saw it. Let's put it that way.
sure, it's not remote control.
No, it's not. Was that Mike O'Malley? Or am I
No.
thinking
Was it Colin
Jost?
Farrell?
Quinn?
Colin Quinn. I think it was Colin Quinn was on the show.
I don't know what we solved. Matt, do you have a synopsis for this movie?
I've never had less of one, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Excellent.
All right, stay tuned. Coming at you an hour and 28 minutes. Written by Tom S. Parker and Jim Genuine. Directed by Peter Hyman. Starring John Ritter, Pam Dauber, Jeffrey Jones, and the inimitable Eugene Levy.
The stiff himself.
That's right. Here's your synopsis for the film. Stay tuned. It's impossible to love television more than Roy Nabel. When a mysterious man makes Roy an offer on a satellite system he can't refuse, Roy and his wife are sucked into a world of television devised to entertain the Dark Lord Satan himself. Can they get out? Only Salt and Pepper know the answer.
Thank you for putting them in the synopsis. And if you didn't change the channel during that, you're in store for a movie that critics have called cleverly plotted, niftily satirical,
Niftily isn't a word.
not diabolical enough for true black comedy, too scary and violent for kids lured by its PG rating, and witless in its send-up of obsessive TV viewing, a picture with nothing for everybody, and a movie that I'll call hard to find.
Which, again, the funniest thing to me about this, and you might have to just cut this out, I found that
already cut.
I found that on like right away.
What?
Huh?
What?
I was just looking to see if it was available. That's all.
Gosh. No, so I was looking for anything. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to get it in time, so I was like, whatever, I'll just pay for it on the Amazons. Because I knew it wasn't on Netflix and all that.
First thing I tried to do, too.
Did you try to? So it's like, it's you can't watch it because of, I forget what the reason it gives is, like agreements with the provider or something. Whoever owns Stay Tuned has decided that Amazon shall not stream.
It's ridiculous.
That's the takeaway here.
Yeah.
I don't know who, like this, it's just the prime example of every industry not understanding how to make money, right? Like that, this is, if there's any way to make this stupider.
And you're doing it with this movie of all movies. Like,
Right, and that's the thing, right? This movie should be available for anybody who's got $1 and wants to give it to you. That's how you make money.
This movie should be on YouTube for free.
And so that's, wait, are you joking? Did you? That's literally how I watched it. So when I couldn't buy it there, I just searched. So I was like, okay, where am I going to watch this? I searched Stay Tuned, and it's like the trailer was on YouTube in HD, beautiful, and then just the full movie was the next one. I'm like, okay, and no, it wasn't like YouTube,
Red or anything.
because they do full movies too. Nope, it's just somebody uploaded the full movie. So I'm like, all right, you saint. So here's to somebody that understands.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I put it into. I was like, oh, there it is. Right away.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Again, I was just looking to see if it was available.
So
it's a crappy copy. Though.
The copy I got was not great. Let's put it that way. You may have had a better experience, and in any event, we're going to talk about our experiences. That's kind of the point of the show.
Oh.
But the reason I did bring up some of those reviews is because I feel like if you do know, number one, what movie we're talking about when we say stay tuned, you may wonder if there's a show in it, I guess, is the terminology that I use from time to time when we pitch movies back and forth. Is there a show in it?
I think I brought this up and I said, I don't know if it's a whole show, but we can certainly watch
You
it.
probably did, yeah. But then what happens is at the end of the show, where we haven't talked about what we're going to do next week, I just want it to be over. So whatever you say,
Don't worry.
That's the one we're going to do.
I have the answer today, though.
But no, you know what? We can go short on this thing in any event because, spoiler alert, I've also got John Wick to talk about. I saw John Wick 3 this week. That could definitely be a show, although that would probably be a trilogy deal. But yeah, whatever. So we've got enough to fill the hour, let's say.
Maybe.
If Stay Tuned goes short.
But I do have the answer for what we're watching next week.
Oh, well, never mind.
I'm ready.
Can we end the show right now then? Can it all just be over
yeah,
right now?
If you want. Do you want to just go straight to stars and then move on?
33 stars.
Out of 12.
Whoa. So Stay Tuned is not a bad film. It is certainly of its time.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell when it was made. There should be zero question, like 2 minutes into this thing once you start watching it. Well, actually, I mean, 2 minutes into it, you're beginning with a real James Bond of a credit sequence there at the top. There's some animation in there. It's
all over the place.
Gorgeous. So there's no question when it was made. And I'll say it holds up. It's just that it shows its age type thing. I don't know if those are mutually exclusive, but
I think in terms of holding up, I think aspects of it do for sure. I think that when we get to the TV stuff, most of that works because it's all still viable. Like people understand it.
The gags still work. The jokes still work. None of those.
The jokes still work.
There were a couple references to shows that I feel like people may have forgotten that may have been lost to time. I didn't. There weren't any of those for me.
No,
but.
No.
Maybe those don't work as well nowadays,
but even so, you can watch that and kind of go, oh, I didn't know it was a reference, but that's funny. Like,
True.
That could be a show.
Yeah, all right. You're right.
The references do certainly add something to it, and it is really funny to go back, especially for me. Yeah, I don't know if you had this as well, but watching that stuff and going, oh man, I totally remember that show, and I remember watching those shows with so and so.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, it was a great trip down that type of memory lane for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a lot of ways it's reminiscent of UHF in that way, which we both love.
Totally.
Anybody should love. So yeah, I mean, I was primed to enjoy a lot of those anyways. I think, and again, we're going to critique this thing because, or I'm going to. I don't know. I can't help myself. I think the film, like if we were going to trade something off, like this is a tight 90 minutes here, like any 80s movie, you know, this is before people had the attention span of anything that wasn't Mr. Holland's opus, or actually that might have been the beginning of it all.
Man,
but
great movie.
For any opuses, let's say.
I like a good opie here or there.
Who doesn't? Get your opus going.
Yeah.
I will say that maybe they could have, if they're going to keep it a tight 90, traded some of the bits and gags for a little bit more development between the couple, which I feel like was supposed to be the heart of the film or the real even driver of it.
Yeah, it's very it's a very quick, like you are immediately thrust into them not already having problems. There's no.
If you took out just the things, I guess regardless of the first act does a fine job of showing you what the problem is in the marriage. He is upset. Your synopsis was correct. He is obsessed with TV and his marriage is suffering. He plays the maybe first in a long line of leading men completely oblivious to the wife they could never get in real life.
Right.
He's married to Pam Dauber and doesn't know she exists.
Yeah,
so
real dumb.
Credulity is strained, as you would say. I just think it's also funny that this is the line that Click took later. Did you ever see Click?
Long time ago, and I've only seen it once.
Adam Sandler is married to Underworld herself.
Kate Beckinsale.
Yes, and
which is
doesn't know
ridiculous.
she exists.
Yeah, you're
an
idiot.
Here we have the first in a long line of two, maybe. I don't know. So
John Ritter and Adam Sandler. That's it.
not that John Ritter isn't a catch. I mean, I would be happy to marry the guy. Honestly, he's a brilliant. He's one of those guys. He's a classic, a huge loss, and whatever you want to say about him, it's
that
true.
man was funny all the time. That guy was a great comedian. He had great timing. He was so good at being that perfect, being the straight man who was not the total idiot, but definitely had there's a little bit of a blocker in front of him. Like, why? Oh,
and Three's Company, even though he perfected what he did on Three's Company, I don't even think that does him justice. Like when I see him, we've recently talked about News Radio. Actually, he has a bit on News Radio. It may just be an episode, but he's way funnier than his character on Three's Company, than that bit or that guy. He's got some range and some just
Jack
downright
Tripper.
lovable. Yes, sure, that too. All of the above.
He also similarly, he had a couple of parts. I think he popped in and out like 2-3 episodes of Scrubs as JD's, JD's dad.
No joke.
And they're great parts, but they're also like, and he still plays that, like he's kind of playing goofy, but they actually use him in like such a perfectly heartbreaking way, because think about what he does with his wife and all that. He basically is doing it with JD. And on top of that, he's also the moocher who like comes back and is like, "Hey, JD, can I borrow some money? Because you're a doctor." And he still has some of those like those like the awkward jokes that he's really good at doing. But it's also it's a really heartbreaking part. And then actually one of, I would actually say Tom Cavanaugh's one of his best things he's ever done was the episode where they find out their dad died.
Do they?
It's fantastic.
Because that almost doesn't match up. Like I thought he was already dead when Scrubs was on the air. Nope. Obviously he was not. Did he die very close to that?
No, he died. He was in the middle. They were making that other show with Katie Seagal, and he was the father.
Married with Children.
That was it. He was Al Bundy.
Probably wasn't Married with Children. That wouldn't be surprising, really. Think about it.
No, he was in that. He was doing a show, and I don't remember anything about
Futurama.
Was it
Sons of Anarchy?
Maybe it was that. I don't remember. It was a comedy show. It had Katie Seagal on it, but he died in the middle of it, like while they were like during not in the middle of the show, but he died.
And they aired it. It was completely in bad taste.
Yeah, it was right there. He died during the middle of the show as they were filming it, and then they decided to continue the show and have the family deal with the fact that they no longer have
that's cool.
The character, he's not there, and the person isn't there. So, yeah. Anyways.
We like John Ritter. There you go.
John Ritter is good.
And he's in rare form in this movie. In fact, I also queued up Problem Child, so I would imagine another great performance.
Problem Child 2, not great, but Problem Child, pretty good.
All right, okay.
He's also in a movie with Belushi, not the good one, called Real Men, where the not good Belushi is supposed to be like a CIA agent, and Ritter is just like a dorky, house guy. He lives at home with his wife or whatever, and he's like, and Belushi somehow tries to recruit him into this, and all I ever remember about that movie is, at one point he stands up and he goes bang bang with his fingers, and it two guys fall down because Belushi shoots them from somewhere else, and he looks at his hands and he goes, and then he starts running away from bullets, shooting at people, going bang bang. But
you've just described the best part of that movie, haven't you?
But Belushi at some point they're sitting there and he's like, "Oh, I've got to make something because I don't have a gun anymore." He makes this gun that fires paper clips at the people. Sure, if I remember correctly, he kills them with the paper clips.
Sure. Okay, I'm out.
I mean, it had Belushi in it. So
I think you've given me all the good parts. I feel like I don't need to watch that, and probably shouldn't. Okay.
Let's continue with Stay Tuned.
All right. So John Ritter does get captured by a satellite dish. That's what those are called, right?
Yes.
Sold to him by not the devil, but an employee of the devil, a real life bad guy, Jeffrey Jones, plays the bad guy Spike in this movie, right? Didn't he? Don't I not
Yes.
want to Google what
You
he's up to
don't.
nowadays? Gotcha.
You don't.
Okay. And basically, the movie's it's supposed to be them reconciling their relationship throughout all these trials, which is a fine premise, and I think could have been pulled off a lot better than it was. It's also intermixed with all these gags, these different channels, which are fun, and I laughed out loud so many times. In fact, I watched this with Candy, my wife, also laughed out loud probably more than I did, actually.
Hey, that's cool.
So yeah, great as far as that goes, but if you're actually looking for a satisfying conclusion to that relationship in trouble, it doesn't really happen. I think they could have used at least one more scene in there that was a real, or 5 more peppered in, I guess, wherein they really deal with their relationship issues or surface them a little bit more or make some progress. It's 7 steps instead of 3 is what it feels like.
Sure.
So that's all I would say about that, but you're going to laugh no matter what.
But then they get to the denouement.
Great. The denouement of Stay Tuned. I never thought I'd say those words. And now they feel so natural. But along the way, it's fantastic. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You get to see Captain Lou for a second there.
Yes.
And you get to explain to your wife who that is. You get to see Eugene Levy do his anything that he wants because it's great.
You gotta love Eugene Levy. That dude is always funny.
He plays another employee. It's that is a pretty fun part of the movie is the whole bureaucracy of whatever the heck they're doing.
Yeah, the programming.
Yes, because they create there are rules to what they're doing. They only have 24 hours. It's because he comes to sell the dish and he's like, no, I can't. And he's like, what? Do the trial period. So he does the trial period, gets sucked into the dish. They have 24 hours to get out, to survive all of these different scenarios because they're trying to be killed so that the devil can get their souls. So if they survive 24 hours, then they beat the thing and they get out. So
right, it's a game. That's how.
Sure.
Like it's literally a game for
that's true.
the devil.
I believe the words "game over" are flashed on the screen whenever somebody does die, because there's a number of people doing this at the same time.
Yeah, including Murray Seidenbaum.
Murray Seidenbaum, you'll recognize him. He's John Ritter's neighbor.
That's right. He ends up running a club, Club
He does.
Seidenbaum.
Again, so many good bits, and it's just a joy to watch, no matter what.
Yeah, I think this is a movie that lives and dies by the entire conceit of being in TV. The rest of the movie, it serves its purpose. The kids kind of have their little bits where they can figure out, they're in the TV and how do we get them out? How do we help?
Well, that's actually a good example of something that does work too. I think they spend the right amount of time because the kids are outside the TV figuring out that the parents have been sucked in and then figuring out how to rescue them.
Right.
I think the brother and sister are always at odds with each other. So they need to reconcile their relationship as well to get blah, 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 blah. I think that's handled well and given enough time.
Sure, I can agree with that.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, this movie, that's not going to be something you go back for.
Nope.
That's kind of
Nope.
It fits.
Again, that's just me doing that.
No, yeah, but you go back to this because, and like I've gone back to this movie a number of times in my life because those sequences in the TV are consistently funny. They're just so good. And again, this is a movie that it lives and dies by that conceit. And if that conceit isn't pulled off on a pretty high percentage level of where they're going with it, with the gags and everything, a movie probably fails. But more often than not, I think whenever they're in the TV, I think there's only one that I don't like, one little section. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just kind of a, okay.
Well, no, go. Let's talk about those specifically because that is the whole thing of the movie. I've got my 2 favorites. Tell me you're not so much.
Dwayne's Underworld.
Oh, yeah.
The Wayne's World takeoff. It's fine. It was funny the first time I saw it. I do think the red hot poker in the eye cam is pretty humorous. But
it's all taking place on Saturday Night Dead.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. But it just wasn't that to me is the least funny of all of them. And it's
I agree. I actually am totally with you.
It just is kind of that. And that's the one that to me more than any of them is so stuck in its time. That's the one where it's the
everybody's gonna get that reference though,
probably, but it's still the one that to me sticks its head out like that, where it's that's the one that
Well, it's a good example of like Wayne's World is already a comedy.
Right.
Like they're trying to spoof something that's already spoofing something. I feel like stuff like that very rarely works, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe I feel like it's we shoehorned this in because it was in the zeitgeist and it was really good in the previews.
Oh yeah, you know what? That's true. I bet that was it. A lot of it at the very least.
I mean, because most everything else that's in the movie like that is not like it's not a zeitgeist thing. You know, northern overexposure is not something that people are going to be like, oh yeah, you know.
That was one of the ones I wondered if people would still get. One of my favorite ones. I'll give you my two favorite ones. The first one is something I also wonder if people would get. Was it starts off all these guys discussing like clothes and stuff inside of a prison cell. And part of what made it great is that I couldn't figure out what it was for the entire thing until the titles came up, and then it was 30 something to life, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. It was so good. But then it's over. Like that's it. You know?
Yeah, it was a commercial.
And then the other one I really liked wasn't actually a bit, but there's a moment where they're with Eugene Levy in Northern Overexposure, actually trying to escape that channel, and they're being attacked by wolves. They get to a shack. The wolves are at the door. They go out once and they're there. Then Eugene Levy goes out later and they're not there. So he's like, see, everything's fine. And then it cuts to a wider shot where a wolf was waiting on the roof and jumps onto him. I don't know why. That is ridiculous and wonderful. And that was another moment there, really. And there were plenty. I laughed out loud for Different Strokes. It's just two old guys talking about something until they both have strokes.
I can't feel my left arm.
There's the Exorcisist, feel the burn, and
the one woman bursts into flames, yeah. and now vomit.
It's really good.
My favorite, my favorite for sure, and this is, I think you'll understand this probably better than any viewer here. It's the cartoon one. Like I love that. I think it's a really nicely done piece of animation. I think it's really, really it really fits that style of animation too. It's very Looney Tunes-esque.
You know who did it?
No.
Freaking Chuck Jones, man.
Did he really?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I think it's great. I love that sequence. I think it's really funny, and I love the The thing that I think really gets me about that sequence is them realizing they're cartoons and going, oh, I can do all sorts of different things here that are not part of the real world. Like, I can suddenly just write a huge letter to Acme to have something delivered, and it'll show up like that. I love that.
The premise is good. I was going to say execution, but the animation is great. I dislike the writing and the performances.
Fair enough.
It sounds like they're reading. It doesn't match. I don't know if Ritter and Dauber ever did voice work before, but it doesn't sound like it.
No, and I think I noticed this also because it totally does not sound like somebody who has ever done that at all. But Ritter actually did do voice work. I think he did the voice of the main fish cop in the TV show Fish Police, which was like it was a cartoon from the 90s.
Of all the polls, man, you never cease to amaze me.
Yeah, Fish Police. No, but I actually think that is kind of funny and still works for me because, again, headcanon. This is all headcanon.
Okay.
But I
Fix the movie, Matt.
I like it because they're not animated characters.
Oh, dang. That's pretty good. It's okay. Kind of fits. So doesn't help. But
no, that's fair.
Pretty clever. You are pretty clever.
Hey. I love you.
I think one of the other things that kind of irked me about that scene, though, too, and this goes back to my, again, stupid critique of the movie Stay Tuned, where I think their relationship needed more. Within that animated sequence is his first apology. Like, he makes his first turn, and it's right at the midway point in the film. So script wise, like, this is where that should come.
Sure.
And it does, except they're sitting down, they're cartoons. You don't get to see. I mean, it's maybe a brave choice that they decided to put this, in the cartoon. But normally I would want to see Ritter's performance, like his face, do this. But he actually says sorry to his wife, and he starts to actually take the turn. Yeah. This is the beginning of that, and it's done in the animation. So, and it's done very quickly. Like that's it, and then either the whole sequence is over or they move on from that anyways. But
it's really like once he does that, that's when the cat finds them one more time, and then he writes the letter to
the robot cat
Acme to get the robot dog.
Correct. So yeah, another little thing about that, but I mean,
yeah, I love I love that sequence. I think it's really great.
Not hard to see why.
I also do. I think Northern overexposure is very funny, especially when he starts counting off, and he's counting off on his finger, and his finger just flies off, and he goes, "Oh."
No, that was the other line. He says, "The cold's no place.
For a stiff."
Yeah.
Some of the commercials, I do love. Meet the Mansons with Little Chucky, pretty funny.
How did I miss that? It's not even ringing a bell.
That's where Meet the Mansons is the commercial, or maybe
Shirley
it's
Manson?
the show. Charlie Manson.
Oh.
Not Marilyn. Yeah.
No, Marilyn.
That's where the son realizes that the TV is sucking people in because his bike is on TV.
Right.
Chucky Manson's riding his bike.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I did miss that actually. I walked away for a second, which you can do.
You can.
Miss something.
I do think maybe the funniest thing that Ritter does in the whole movie is the dressing like Prince and doing like the music video with Salt and Pepper.
I thought he was Prince, but then I was like, why is Prince with Salt and Pepper? I mean, I guess that makes sense. That would be a big get, but yeah, I was like, that didn't. Okay, it's good to know he was actually Prince. Yeah, that was good.
That's that bit is really funny.
It's a really good bit because it's Ritter in pure Ritter.
Yes.
Like he's physical. He's fish out of water. He's got
the facial expressions too.
Yeah.
His look of like being confused and not knowing what's going on is so funny.
Yeah, that was good.
It's good.
I was surprised. I wanted there to be a Mork and Mindy. I mean, Pam Dauber, arguably one of the most recognizable and successful female television comedians, actors ever.
Yeah.
And no Mork and Mindy reference, although we did get a Three's Company reference.
We got a Three's Company with Suzanne Summers and... I can't remember what
short
her name
hair.
is.
There was the short-haired one, not the long-haired one. Was it the brunette was the one that changed twice, right? Or no. Freaking Suzanne Summers changed. It wasn't her for a bit. Whatever. Sorry.
I honestly don't.
Hey, wait. I can look it up on the internets.
Nah, it doesn't sound right.
Joyce DeWitt
did
in fact play Janet Wood on that show. Anything else about Stay Tuned? Let me think. I thought there was one more. If we really wanted to get gross, I would talk about how the film, because it's a kind of a classic 80s morality tale. It's TV is bad. You're wasting your life. It's the reason that your marriage is falling apart type thing.
Right.
But then is also itself something that rewards short attention spans. So there's probably something there if we really wanted to get into it. But I think honestly, it's what you expect, and it's fun, and I'd recommend it. And I'm glad I saw it for the first time.
I'm glad you saw it too, and I'm glad you guys liked it. It's kind of funny. Beth had never seen it either, and she sat down and watched it with me. And she same thing. She was just, there were parts that were killing her. Like she was laughing her head off. So
I'd be curious to sit my daughter down and see, because a lot of it plays obviously for people that grew up then.
Sure.
But yeah, who knows? Well, I did not show it to my daughter this time. Maybe next time.
It'll be fun.
Is there a Stay Tuned 2?
No. I mean, if there is, it didn't have John Ritter in it.
Well, so it wasn't.
Yeah. Next week, Mom and Dad Save the World.
33 stars?
Sure. Out of...
he was in that too, wasn't he?
36. No, he was not.
Oh, was it?
That's Jeffrey Jones, actually.
Jeffrey Jones. You're right. That's
Jeffrey
the
Jones.
line.
Jeffrey Jones, Terry Garr.
Who was the dad? It's a John Ritter-like, at the very least.
Jeffrey Jones is the dad.
Wait, Jeffrey Jones was the dad?
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones is the dad to Danny Cooksey, who's the son, and Danny Cooksey you best remember as either Edward Furlong's buddy in Terminator 2, or you're an actual human being and you remember him from Salute Your Shorts.
Did you recognize the son in this movie? In Stay Tuned?
No.
It took us a little bit, and my wife got it before I did. He played the younger brother in Swing Kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Sieg Heil, Peter. Swing Hail. Sorry, I said the actual Nazi salute.
Yeah,
my mistake.
Great.
33 stars. Isn't that what I gave it before?
You
34 now, actually, that we talked about it.
34 out of 38.
All right. Well, yours went. Okay. Again, the system
It's good. It's not great.
It's good and great.
All right.
Next week, you appear to know what we're going to be doing.
I do know what we're going to be doing. So I think we teased this maybe 2 weeks ago that it might have been last week. I can't honestly remember. The days all just meld together.
Maybe they do.
But
they're horrible.
We talked about that there's going to be some changes to how we do book club. And I think what we're going to do is next week we're going to kind of take a break from the movie thing. We're going to do some TV volleyball.
Oh, wow. You really know what you're doing. Okay,
yeah, we're going to do TV volleyball. And in the process, what we're going to end up doing here is we're going to figure out the next part. And so the following week, we're going to come back and we're going to have our whole new layout, or at least a skeleton.
Well, the change, unless there might be more changes that I don't know of.
It's the one.
I feel like the big change is that we're going to be planning out the movies more than 0 seconds in advance, so we'll get a nice long list of where we're going.
We're gonna do. My intention is to do the full month each month. Say this is what we're doing. And that way,
month by month.
Yeah, because I we take our time. We don't need to fill everything out, but I want to make sure that everybody has a little more lead time. You guys are gonna get like a full couple of weeks to check stuff out. And I'd like to see some more. I want to get some more interaction because I know
we don't get a lot.
But I know anybody who's listening. I know you guys all have opinions and stuff. Even if it's something as simple as that was stupid and you guys are dumb, that's good. I'll take that.
That's a valid opinion.
Yeah.
I would entertain the argument actually.
Sure. I do all the time.
We kind of do every week.
Yeah, and then I'm done, and then I talk to my wife, and I have the same argument. So next week, we're going to do TV volleyball. If you're not familiar, that's where Ryan and I are going to kind of talk about everything we're watching on TV in bite-sized bits. Just go back and forth and see where we cross over, see if anything is picking picking us up, making us go, oh man, you're watching this and it sounds good? Okay, I'll check it out.
I think you just did the show. Yeah, what are the rules? It's something we're actively watching. It's not just, hey, these are our favorite shows.
Right.
And I guess that was it.
I think that's the only real rule was we have to be watching it. Yeah. So,
all right.
Good.
Cool. I'm into that.
Cool. TV volleyball next week. Hit us up if you guys have any questions, suggestions for movies, for TV shows to check out. Podcast at bookclubformovies.com. And with that information, let's just do the rest of the show.
All right. I already mentioned the only other movie I have to talk about. Do you want to hear about that first? Or do you want to tell me what you got?
I'll go first because mine's going to be really fast.
Cool.
I don't know why I said whatever I said that way. I know I watched a bunch of movies this past week, and I just can't remember any of them except I Love You, Man. And I'm not saying that's the name of the movie. I'm just saying I Love You, Man.
Oh. You should watch that movie.
Yeah. I like it.
All right, I feel like I know. Now I feel like you told me what the other movie was you watched, and I'm forgetting it also.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind right now.
I can't stop thinking about Role Models.
I watched that recently, like a couple weeks ago.
I can't not watch it when I watch I Love You, Man.
That movie still holds up.
It's a Jolo. It's part of the Jolo trilogy, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's see. It's Role Models. Then
I Love You, Man.
It's got to be I Love You, Man, because his bit part in that is really funny, and then it's got to be Wet Hot American Summer.
That's more of a showcase, a Jolo showcase. I'd say.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, maybe you'd put that in the trilogy. That's true. Maybe I'm speaking of the supporting trilogy here, and no, I don't actually know what the third movie is.
We'll find it.
No, but you did really watch I Love You, Man, I feel like.
I did. Okay.
I
actually did. I think I texted you about it.
You
actually.
did, yes. That's how I knew.
This movie is still funny as all hell. And I think one of the things that works for this movie, speaking of products of its time, they do a good job of not dealing with that here. It's not there are 2 references in the movie that are dated for some people, but it's irrelevant in terms of whether or not you know who Lou Ferrigno is, because he you can tell by the entire thing what he's doing. He's a real estate salesman.
Lou Ferrigno is eternal.
Yes, he's a treasure. But there's not a ton of stuff in there like that is current era things for the movie, so it kind of can be watched for a long time. I think it's got a lot of rewatchability.
I would agree.
And still kills me, man. Rashida Jones,
very good.
What a great perfect kind of showcase, I guess.
What's her trilogy?
For it's The Office and this and Angie Tribeca. But this is like, it's totally great. She's awesome as the straight man, a straight woman, and Paul Rudd also being the straight man, but not, which is pretty great. Like, I love this movie, I think, partially because everybody is the straight man. Like, Jason Segel.
Jason Segel is the only one that's like...
And Jason Segel's even kind of the straight man because he takes everything seriously. He's like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't we do this? What's the big deal? You know, he's the epitome of the beach bum, like the guy that I've got enough money to do what I want. So
he's
cares?
David Foster Wallace.
He is like he kind of is. Great movie though. I really do love that movie. I do. I forget about the one scene where he pukes all over Jon Favreau, and
I've forgotten about that too.
Yeah, so he's trying to find friends, and so he ends up going to Jamie Presley's and Jon Favreau's house to play poker with the guys, and he beats them in poker without knowing that he did, and pisses Jon Favreau off. So then they're like, let's play drinking games, and they do a boat race. So pound of beer, everybody else pounds a beer, and then it comes back and all that. And he finishes the beer before Jon Favreau and starts jumping up and down and pointing at him, in your face,
oh,
in your
okay. I do remember now.
And it's just, the thing that kills me about that is not only that they totally did The Exorcist, like it's a profile shot, so you know they just had like a hose right next to his head, and he just went, bleh. But it's the immediate reaction of Jon Favreau, get out of my house. Get out of my house. I love you, man. Good show.
Well, I mean, the relationship that they build is the real star of the show. And I know I'm purposefully saying that in a stupid way, but really, like, I feel like this is the movie that defined the bromance, or that was the third, like, everything was born after this movie as far as that goes, you know, like.
Sure.
It's so well defined and so perfectly crafted. Like, it's a total love story, and it works perfectly. Like, it's the craziest thing.
No, it's great because it is, like, I think one of the things this movie, maybe not widely, but I think it probably did for at least some people. I like the idea that this movie kind of, and this sounds probably stupid, but it made it okay for men to look for other men to hang out with and be friends with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like,
I mean,
yeah, that's really cool. Like,
yeah,
because for men, there's a stigma about being like trying to meet other men. It's weird. It sounds weird. Like, I want to go hang out with somebody. How do I meet another guy?
That sounded weird right then.
Yeah, weird. But I think there's something to that, you know, to friends being able to say I love you to, you know, being able to say I love you to another guy because, you know, you're friends and it matters. And
we just watched Triple Frontier. Those guys love each other. The Triple Frontier wouldn't exist if it wasn't for I Love You, Man.
That's true. They are directly related. There's no dotted line. It's a straight, like, they're connected.
Sequels.
Yeah. Other movie I watched, unless you have got more to say about I Love You, Man.
No.
Other movie I watched, again, real fast, just good quality humor coming from across the pond. Who doesn't love Edgar Wright, and Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost, and
I remember this too.
Jim Broadbent, and Olivia Colman, and Patty Considine. Who doesn't love those people?
Nobody.
Yeah, Martin Freeman, Bill Nighy, all these guys, just great.
All the hits.
Yeah, Hot Fuzz.
The hottest
of fuzzes. You know, I have gone back and forth for a very long time between whether or not I like Shaun of the Dead more than Hot Fuzz. Always go back and forth.
It depends on which one you watch. Yeah, that's what happens. You watch one.
It does, and it depends on where I'm at in the day. No. But one thing I can count on every single time from Hot Fuzz is I am going to laugh at least everything Olivia Colman says, because every single piece of dialogue she has is a double entendre, and the entire movie she's just laughing her head off going it's just so funny to me. And and there is I was telling Beth about this, that I did not recognize or notice this for some reason until the other night. The sequence where Simon Pegg is now kind of he's been a police officer with the small town, and they all know him, but they're all kind of still antagonistic towards him. He is like the only one on shift for this fair that all these people are coming to, which is where the one guy gets his head bashed in by the thing. Anyways, there's a moment where he scans the crowd, and they kind of zoom in and do little bit close-ups on all the officers. And for whatever reason, I never noticed that Olivia Colman is standing there with two men beside her, and she's just laughing at both of them with her arms around them.
Yeah, I don't recall the shot.
And I just totally was dying. And it's also the shot where the one cop who is supposed to be somebody that's been there for a while that has experience. He's the one that gets his face painted like Spider-Man, and he also never knows. He keeps asking. He's like, "All right, Angel, what should we do here?" And then Angel goes through all the things, and he goes, "Yep, that's what I was gonna say." It's that guy. But there's a moment in that same shot where he's scanning the crowd where you see him in his Spider-Man face paint with his son, who I don't think his son's face is painted. I think that's like the joke.
Better not be. Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Great movie. That's I absolutely 100% adore Timothy Dalton in that movie. He Simon Skinner. He runs the local supermarché. Great. So stupid. Great movie though, man. That is such a Edgar Wright is a very unique director. There are not a ton of directors as attentive and as witty and as, I think, honestly in tune with what his vision is. Like there never seems to be an issue with him getting what he wants out of what he's doing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and I think that the interesting thing to me, I guess, when I think about that now, and this is just off the top of my head, is totally stands to reason why he didn't end up making Ant-Man, because he wanted to do what he wanted to do, and Marvel was like, well, we kind of want to do it this way, and he said, well, that's cool. Bye.
Still bonkers to me. The Edgar Wright Ant-Man is a better Ant-Man.
No, there's no question. I think
it is.
I like those movies. I think they're fine. I really like Paul Rudd.
You really like Ant-Man.
I really like Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man, the first one, that's up in my top 5 Marvel movies. Ant-Man and Wasp I didn't love, but it was fine. It had some good stuff. Yeah. But Edgar Wright, man, that guy, everything he does is he knows what he's doing. Yeah, he a unique director, and I am looking forward to whatever his next project is.
Do we do? I mean, we do a show on at least one of the Cornetto trilogy movies, but do we just do a trilogy show?
Oh, we could. That'd be fun. I haven't actually seen The World's End since it first came out on Blu-ray.
Me neither. Yeah, just once.
Yeah, no, twice, because I saw it in the theater, but then I saw it when it came out on Blu-ray. We bought it, watched it like the night we got it.
Well, okay.
Haven't watched it since.
You win this round. But I guess it's hard. Like, ask me if I want to do an entire show on Shaun of the Dead, and I'm like, yeah. Or do you want to do an entire show, or a trilogy? I'm like, well, it's the same thing. Like, I would need to watch all 3 movies, and then I'll want to do a trilogy show. That's what it is. Whereas if I just, going from memory, I just want to talk about Shaun of the Dead only and always.
It's totally reasonable.
Or Hot Fuzz.
Here you go. Here's your, if you didn't know, maybe a piece of trivia for you. The George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. I believe you've seen this film.
I have. We did.
Yeah.
We did a trilogy show, in fact.
It's crazy. Peter, played by Ken Foree, the only surviving male of the group.
Okay.
And he's the guy who has the coolest line in all of those movies, and the one that has held out forever, which is the when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Very good.
Awesome line. So Ken Foree, that's the name of the electronics shop that Sean works in, is Foree Electronics.
Very nice.
There you go.
They know their stuff. All of the stuff.
Yeah, there's so many. That movie is so good at laying out the breadcrumbs and telling you everything that's happening and all that.
Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the best.
It's
the best at that, for sure.
I don't know that I've ever seen a movie better than that, at that thing, you know?
Speaking of Hot Fuzz, though, I saw Keanu Reeves' movie.
He does have some hot fuzz. He's a very good-looking gentleman. I'm going to shut up now, and you're going to tell me everything about John Wick. Go.
It's funny because I don't have a ton. Number one, I saw it in the theater, so I can't be taking notes like I'd want. I can furiously write them down after the fact, and I think it was actually a day after the fact because I forgot-ish. So, John Wick 3 is unexpected in a few ways and completely expected in every other way.
Okay.
If you've seen any John Wick, you know what you're getting into, and it's an excellent one of those. Like, completely enjoyable. The freaking fight scenes are insane, and they front load the movie with like 2. In fact,
oh, nice.
There's 2 right off the bat, and to the point where towards the end of the second one, I'm like, are they going to do a whole movie of just this?
Because I'm okay with it.
I was like, like, I kind of want more John Wick, but what if they did that? Like, that would be a statement. And then at the end, you're like, oh, of course they did that. It's just because by the end of John Wick 2, he's put himself in opposition to the whole kind of thing, which we now know is called the High Table. I don't know if that actually came out in John Wick 2.
No, I think it's just the Continental, and I think
okay. The Continental is the hotel that works under the table, meaning under the high table.
Sure.
That's also a term that gets used a whole bunch here. So yeah, no, he's put himself in opposition to the high table. So it's for a moment you're like, okay, it's just him taking down that organization. Like, it's just a bunch of series of fights. It's not. They go into a bunch of stuff, and you get some actually backstory of John Wick, like where he came from. Angelica Houston is a freaking amazing addition and performance and all the above.
Because Angelica Houston is amazing.
She's great. She's really good in this. And it's really satisfying, the stuff that they give you about him and the lore. Like, that's always been one of the most attractive parts of the franchise, I think, too, is just that whole world, right? They don't ever sit you down and tell you the rules. You just show up at the Continental, and everybody's got a token, and the tokens do this, right? They don't ever explain it, but you're like, whoa, this is cool. Like, what is this? So there's a lot more of that, and that's cool. And I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, you can spoil whatever you want.
I know I can spoil it for you. And honestly, I'm not spoiling any of the moments when I say this. But okay, if you don't want anything, I'm not spoiling a moment. I'm not spoiling a beat of the film. I'm just talking about the film generally, but it may be considered a spoiler. I thought this was going to be more of a conclusion.
Yeah. And it is not.
It is not. Like, take that for what it's worth.
It is leading into a fourth one.
I mean, if they decided that this was like some movies end, we had a mini discussion about this with the boat movie, Master and Commander, where that movie kind of ends with, here we go again. The enemy ship captain is still alive. And it's not like there's really a sequel there. It's just that this is life. Life goes on. Like, there are movies that end like that. And I kind of like endings like that often.
To be fair,
there was going to be a thing.
Yeah, and also there is because it's a book series. So the second book exists.
A book?
Yeah, those are the things. They're
read the book.
Yeah, they're about yay high. They have pages in there. It seems like a waste of time when there's a movie.
When you put it like that, I do like comic books.
Yeah, I'm reading a bunch of them right now.
No, I mean there's a world where maybe they try and spin the ending of John Wick 3 as one of those, but I highly doubt it.
Well, I think they've already announced that there's a fourth one.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess going on the internet does have its perks. But I would have enjoyed a nice round trilogy. In the end, okay, you know what? This is what it is. Okay. If any franchise can take a victory lap before they're done with the race, it's probably John Wick.
Sure, I can see that. And
that's pretty much what this is. There's not a whole lot of progress. You could say the movie spins its wheels if you're really concerned about, like I said, this overall story. But still, it's a John Wick movie, and the set pieces are insane to fantastic. It's one of those things where, like, maybe 2 fight scenes go on a little too long. Halle Berry's not very good, and it's all great.
So actually, I was going to ask you about Halle Berry.
She's not very good. Sorry.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I don't know that she's ever been good. She has never been a good actor to me, like, ever. She's always very mediocre, very like.
I mean, I haven't seen Swordfish, so I couldn't tell you.
She was. Again, it's there's nothing there. She's not even in the movie that much. She is a that movie. She's in it for sure, but she is not like a huge part of it.
I feel like she excels at drama. Like I can't think of the movie, but I feel like I'm seeing her face.
Monsters Ball.
I haven't seen that either.
That was her Academy Award, I think.
Oh, really? Maybe that was it. I see her doing a good job where she has to be serious. Like here, I feel like maybe she has to chew the scenery. She just doesn't. She doesn't sell it. Like it's not. I can just tell it's not. Like it's round peg, square hole. Like she's not meant for this. That's all. Which a round peg would fit in a square hole, wouldn't it?
Well, it really depends.
Depending on the size, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to factor in.
Square peg, round hole, though.
See now
you got your Halle Berry.
There you go.
In John Wick 3.
So now tell me, in terms of, so I guess let me ask you this: do you think
you want me to order them? Don't you?
Do you want to see John Wick die? Like, are we at a point where film wise he needs to die to really solidify this? Or does that become kind of more of a cop out in that, well, he's been invincible up until now somebody shoots him? Like it's a tough one.
Yeah, that is actually a very, very good question because, I mean, it's the question of this movie. And not so much does John Wick die or not, but what do you want out of a John Wick movie? Do you want more John Wick? Because you're going to get more John Wick. Like, basically, I found out that this is just going to go on, I feel like.
Sure.
Or like I said, they're taking a victory lap here. And I don't love that stuff right off the bat. But then this is John Wick, and the movies have been consistent, and you get what you want, and it's Keanu Reeves, and they're all that and good. So, yeah, I mean, do I want John Wick to end?
If John Wick dies, he has to be killed by Jason Mantzoukas. That's all I'm saying.
He's in this movie. A little underutilized, I'll say.
I like that his name is the TikTok Man, though.
He'll be in the next movie.
Well, he's going to kill John Wick.
It's good. If you go to this movie and you're like, oh, I'm kind of kind of disappointed in that one thing. If you go to this movie and you're like, this sucks, your fault, man. You messed up.
You should know what
Sorry.
you know what you're getting when you buy a ticket to this.
And it's a great one of those. Yeah. So
cool.
John Wick 3. Book Club for Movies.
All right. Next week we're back. TV VB. Get your volleyballs out. We're gonna smack them around.
You want to tease anything? Anything you know is gonna be there? Or
you know what? I actually, I got to I got to the midpoint, I guess, in season 4 of The Walking Dead. And
we're going. Oh, of course we're going. That's like a staple of TVVB. Of course we're going to talk about Walking Dead.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Also going to talk about Babylon Berlin.
Never heard of it. Did Babylon 5 type?
Yeah. It takes place in the 30s, but then there are like a bunch of Ferengi. It's on Earth.
I'm not even going to tell you where you went wrong there.
Because they're Ferengi.
Because then I'll look bad.
Yeah, well, I don't know what I don't watch Voyager, Deep Space 6, or Deep Star 6. That's a good movie.
All I will tease is that I'm going to talk about the best nature documentary show of all time.
Shark Week.
I'm going to call it out by name. And in comparison to one that's not the best.
Yeah, it's going to be Planet Earth.
So tune in next week
for Planet Earth,
where you find out what that is. It's not Planet Earth. It's not 100%. It's not Planet Earth.
If it doesn't have what's his name doing the voiceover, it's not the best.
David Attenborough.
That's correct.
Cannot comment. No comment.
If it's not him or Sigourney Weaver, you're out.
Oh, Sigourney. Wait. What does she do?
If I remember correctly, she did the American version of the first Planet Earth.
No, so that was Oprah Winfrey. Should have been Sigourney Weaver. You're right. Yeah, no, they re-released it, or maybe that was
Sigourney Weaver. I swear she did something.
Oh, we'll look it up. It'll all be part of TV volleyball. You'll see. If we don't mention Sigourney Weaver during TV volleyball, again, we're wrong. Shame on us.
That's right.
See you next week.
All right, bye.